to the pod presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF of the NCAA. And we have the overnight TV ratings from the first round of the playoffs. The first round, how the first round went, still a buzzing topic. Everyone's chatting about it in college athletics. Obviously, we had 4 less than greatly competitive games. TV ratings suggest that. I don't think they're horrible. Exactly how this translates to millions of viewers is I tried to figure out, and I'm not smart enough. My basic conclusion is they just make it up. Sometimes it's worth like 1 point's worth like 2 million, and sometimes it's worth 1.2 million, and whatever. Anyway, Tennessee, Ohio State did a 6.3 rating Saturday night. Indiana, Notre Dame did a 5.7 on Friday night. Those are both on ABC/ESPN. Clemson, Texas on TNT did a 3.6. SMU, Penn State on TNT did a 3.1. By comparison, Steelers, Ravens did a 7.6 on Fox, and the Texans, Chiefs did a 7.4 on NBC. And
it's worth noting quickly there that that's not in millions. That's a share.
That's a share of the audience. Those numbers are bigger than, it's not 3.1 million. It's probably like 5, something like that. You can, I don't know. And they'll tell you streaming. Don't worry. It'll come out looking good, which is a real number. And how many people are I looked at that Friday night, every bar, restaurant in the country showing Indiana, Notre Dame, right? How do you calculate that viewership? You never can, but whatever. These are not, I don't believe are going to go down as horrible, but they're not exactly killer ratings. But then again, the games were not killer games. My interest in this is, I don't really care how many people watch. I figure if you're a college football fan, you're going to watch. If you listen to this podcast, you probably watched, or you went and did something else because you're like, yeah, Penn State's killing SMU. But it is a big talking point. But I point it out because everyone's talking about expanding the playoff. We need more automatic bids so these poor SEC teams don't get left out. And I just don't know how you expand I don't know where there's going to be this big demand from television networks who are saying we need more first round playoff games when some of these ratings are coming in the 3s. How much are you paying to get this kind of a game? And if you go from, right now we have 4 first round games. If you go to 16 and eliminate the buys, you now have 8, which means you have to put 4 more games somewhere. I think you'd have to either stack games on top of each other, which would not help ratings, although, the NCAA basketball style. We've seen the Monday Night Football do this now, 2 games at once. Or you'd have to play Thursday nights and Wednesday nights and things like that. I see this as I hear expand. We're going to expand. We need 4 automatic bids for the SEC. This can't happen. I don't know. I don't think there's a pile of money out there saying, boy, we're dying to get more first round games from these TV networks or sponsors that, you saw like Allstate presents the first round of the playoffs. I doubt they were all that excited about what they got out of that deal. I have no idea, but they would have liked something else. We're going to get good games in the playoffs. It's going to happen. That's, I wouldn't overreact to that, but I just don't see. What are you hearing, Ross? Is this?
Well, you keep in mind that the number is 14, right? Like they agreed to in the spring that it would be 12 or 14, the playoffs starting in 2026 or beyond.
So
and part
games.
of that reason is because they don't want to, because of the wind. Part of that reason is exactly what we're talking about, right? Because of the lack of the TV windows that are unencumbered by the NFL. So if you go to 16, I think you had 4 games.
4, yeah.
Yeah. If you go to 14, you add 2 games. But right now, they're right. As somebody said to me, even going to 14 and adding 2 games, they've already got really 2 games more than they need when it comes to competing with the NFL, right? Friday night and Saturday night were the two windows that they didn't have NFL competition, which is what you want. But they had two of those afternoon games, and you saw, obviously, from whether it's because of blowouts or the NFL, you saw the ratings for those two Saturday afternoon games pretty poor, I would say. And so I think the real problem is, where do you put these games? And others would say, well, you put them on a different channel, right? And we saw ESPN obviously go to TNT, TBS or whatever for those other two. But I mean, ESPN wants the games. They want control of the games. So it's not real easy just to say we're going to put them on another channel or make a deal with another network when ESPN has the rights, and you agreed that ESPN has the rights. So it gets a little complicated. And of course, the solve for all of this, Dan, as we've beaten into the ground on the show, I think the last couple of years, is to shift the season around and create whether you eliminate the championship conference championship game weekend or move the entire regular season up a week. But college football needs to start playing on the second weekend of December, when the NFL doesn't play. And that needs to start the playoff, and that's the idea. They can't do that now, for a few reasons. One being there's a mandate required 10 days of off between the conference championship games and the start of the playoffs for athlete health, well-being, that was built into the agreement. So they can't play on the second weekend right now. So they start on the third weekend, which the NFL starts then, as we all know. So the TV windows and the competition with the NFL is behind a lot of these decisions on expansion.
We know how good the ratings are. And again, like Dan said, they'll probably, they'll come up with whatever formulas they need to explain to us how great this is. But they haven't yet. We have not gotten any emails or any tweets from ESPN PR saying what a spectacular weekend of ratings this was. If the overnights were really good, they would have put that out there. So that's my way of deciphering exactly how excited they are about this. Whatever, they'll eventually come out with a release, and they'll say it was watched, on 19 platforms and by this, and this, and it'll sound great, but this was not, I don't think, probably what they ultimately desired. That being said, who cares? Well, there have been an incredible number of bad decisions made on account of ratings in college football, which is why Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA are in the Big Ten. So I don't really care, if these ratings are just, warm the hearts of ESPN or Allstate or the conference commissioners. And I would hope they don't overreact to whatever the interpretation is to these ratings. They're going to have to work on scheduling, format, all the things that we've discussed, ways to, tweak this thing. You don't throw the whole thing out. You don't declare it a failure based on the first weekend. Dan, as you said, look, the quarterfinals should be fantastic. If they're not, it's nobody's fault. It's just the games didn't turn out to be that competitive, but I expect them to be really good. And I think the semifinals will be awesome, and the championship game will be good. So the best is yet to come.
If you don't want to see playoff games change, or the playoff format change, I should say, then everybody that doesn't want to see it change should be rooting like hell for Arizona State and Boise State, at least to be competitive and make these a competitive game. Because I just fear if they're not competitive, just like Clemson in SMU's games, Clemson to a degree was competitive, obviously, but SMU wasn't, that they will get into a room in January or at the championship site, and the SEC commissioner and the Big Ten commissioner will say, see, we told you guys, we're the only ones left in the field, us and Notre Dame. We beat the tar out of all you guys, so we're going to need all of these spots. I can guarantee that's going to happen. I mean, I know this. I mean, I try not to take as many hard opinions like you boys, but I'm always rooting for the underdog. And next weekend, I'm going to be rooting for the underdog more than ever, because I want to see the underdog stick around. I want to see the Boise's and the Arizona States and the SMUs get a shot. even if maybe it's just once in a blue moon, just like in the NCAA tournament, a 16 or 15 seed wins, but it does happen. So here we'll see what the Broncos and Sun Devils can give us.
I mean, I saw Indiana and Tennessee not do so well.
Yeah, Big
true.
Ten and SEC.
The fact that the Big Ten and the SEC,
well, they were kind of against one another, though, right? Like the SEC was playing against the Big Ten and won, and the other was, the Big Ten playing against another Big Ten team, right, in Notre Dame. A big
really an ACC team.
ACC team. Yeah, they wish it was a Big Ten.
Oh, that's
team.
true.
Yeah.
Play 5 ACC games every year.
A team from the Midwest.
It's true. That's true.
No.
That's true. Yeah.
Look it. I mean, I don't think anyone who knows anything doesn't think that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to win most of the national championships. The fact we're even saying the SEC and the Big Ten is a big step. Because it was just the SEC for a long time.
Yeah.
All the champions were from the same area. And if it wasn't the SEC, it was Clemson or Florida State. That was it. So the fact that we had an all technically Big Ten now championship game last year, and we may have 2 consecutive Big Ten champions this year is already a big shift in this sport. The idea that anyone would cut out the other leagues, there's no doubt the top 2-3 teams of the Big Ten and the SEC are going to be excellent. But that doesn't mean that teams 4 or 5, like Indiana they weren't that good. They just weren't. They were fine. Great season, amazing turnaround. No one believed they could do it, but they got there because their schedule, as Pat pointed out, because they were chasing some nebulous TV rating somewhere, instead of just doing a scheduling agreement that made Oregon and USC as some play. So there needs to be changes to the format. We I don't want to keep recapping it, but I think we all agree, like, not having the top 4 be conference champions would help. If you want to assure that the top 4 get playoff home games, that's fine. Adding the quarterfinals to the home system, changing the weekly rating system, I think would help build a better process. I've said this before. College football comes up with a solution to chase a problem instead of looking at the problem and saying, how do we improve it? So what we didn't need was, yes, if it's Alabama, SMU, or let's say it's Alabama, Penn State, let's say it's the same result. We just saw it, right? Because Tennessee was not, they got blown out immediately. That was the game that really hurt them, because that should have been good. And Ohio State just jumped them from the start. And then you go, what the heck? I'm not watching this. It's 21-0 in the middle of the first quarter. But yes, Alabama would have brought a better TV rating, but so what? Like, what is that? So the idea that we're just going to be like, that's it, Boise State, you had your chance, you're out. Or Arizona, with the Big 12's just not going to exist anymore. All these things. I just look at the TV ratings and say if these numbers were off the charts, I'd be like, yeah, they're going to expand this thing, because ESPN's going to come back and say, we'll give you $100 million a game for a couple more games. Now I don't know if ESPN's going, all right, so we got to put this thing on a Thursday night, but we're going to lose conference champ. Remember, they got 16.6 million people watch Texas, Georgia in the SEC championship game. That game's more at a less of a price, probably. So, that's where you're going to be like, yeah, we can all sit there and go, oh, conference championship game, get rid of it. But if you're a TV network, and these TV networks ostensibly run this sport, they're going, hey, that thing worked great for us. This didn't work as well. So I don't know. Hopefully we, again, let it cook. I don't think they will let it cook.
A lot of cooks in the kitchen watching the cooking.
It could cook for at least one more year, right? Because it takes unanimity to change anything. From the 10 conferences in Notre Dame, they each have a representative in that room on that board, and it takes all 11, I guess, to make changes to the format for next year. But starting in 2026, as we discussed plenty, that the governance, the voting changes in SEC, Big Ten are kind of given control in a way, or they claim, to the format.
So there was a million suggestions give me your best tweak or worst tweak that you heard, because everyone's screaming. There's a suggestion box.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it. I once wrote an entire book that was a suggestion box on this sport. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm not exactly going to criticize people that are
took
firing
your
at-
suggestions, Dan.
They did take my suggestions, because of
Eventually.
course you would eventually. But so I'm not opposed to the old suggestion box. If you want to throw out 280 characters, I'm fine with it. What's your best or worst, Pat?
Yeah, I've heard plenty, and that's the thing. I mean, the two things that bring out the most suggestions, and I can't believe the amount of energy and passion people and time people put into this. So is like how to realign the conferences and how to redo the playoff. People love those topics, and there are the best suggestion I heard, I thought, was to give the to still incentivize winning your conference. Give the 5 conference champions, not just automatic bids, but top 8, not top 4, but top 8. And that way you either get a bye or you get a home game. But you also don't have ostensibly the second best team in the Big Ten and SEC being pushed so far down the ladder that you screw up the bracket. So you could have Texas as a 3 seed and Penn State as a 4 seed or whatever instead of 5 and 6, and do it that way. Notre Dame, it still gets a home game, but the other conference champions get home games as well, just in the first round. So that's one that I liked, at least some form of that.
I didn't like that one.
Why not?
And Clemson's in a top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have complaints over that, right? The Clemsons and the Arizona States or whatever. Oh, they get a home game, But
I mean, they do that in the NFL. It is weird.
Yeah,
because you'll have these like 8,
Yeah.
and they'll have a bad AFC South team hosting a good wild card team. But
that's a good point, Dan, and maybe we should look at the NFL more, and go see it. It happens there, right? So why is it that big of a deal? Well, yeah, right? Like, I mean, in the NFL, a division winner, hosts a game and might be 9 and 8, and it might host a game against a 12 and 5 team.
So
and
the reason they do it is like you have Minnesota and Detroit are both 12 and 2 right now, and they are fighting for the NFC North, and one of them's going to get a first round bye, perhaps, likely, and home games throughout. The other is on the road the entire time, probably. And they have to play. They don't get the bye. So there is a high stakes in winning the NFC North. At that said, the regular season, right? And those two teams will play at the end. Now, here's the difference. You play everyone in your division twice. You have like a fair crack at this thing. But it's kind of tough if, let's say, Detroit loses, or one of those two teams is going to lose and finish, say, let's see, what would they be? 14, or maybe they're 13. I don't know. Whatever they finish up. How many games they got now? 17. So they're 14 and 3, right? And you have to go and play on the road at like you said, 9-8. So that's why they do it. But go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt, but just that's how they do it.
No,
and it can be extreme.
Mm-hmm. We're looking at a year where the ACC, had some stumbles in some of their best teams late in the season, and if just I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, but if like Miami, holds on to a 21-0 lead against Syracuse, and then Miami beats SMU in the championship game, we saw Clemson do that, so no reason to think Miami wouldn't have been able to. And then Miami all of a sudden is in the top 4, right, in the 4 seed, and it's just I think we have a small sample size, I guess is what I'm getting at, to where the ACC and the Big 12 had these years where they kind of beat each other up late in the season and probably didn't, win some of the non-conference games that they should have, if you look. And maybe that's not going to happen every year. So, yeah, maybe, as you say, Dan, let it cook a little bit and let's see what happens. Unfortunately, this is a reactionary industry.
All right, you want my worst one I've heard?
Yeah.
Okay, drop it back to 8, but have a 1 week where we have set up a bunch of non-conference matchups to determine the final grouping to get into the 8.
What?
Which is exactly what we just had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're... That's what they're like. We should go only 8. Only 8 should be in the playoff, but we could set up a system where we have one more week where we set up some non-conference and we find out who deserves.
Brilliant idea.
Brilliant idea. We just did it and we found out, okay, Indiana, SMU, you weren't good enough. Clemson, yeah, you won your league, but you're not good enough. The first round just weeds out who didn't. There's no way, like we just said, the NFL, they still have the problem. And they only have 32 teams playing 17 games, and they make the people in their division play each other twice, home and away, to try to come up with the best possible, as much as you possibly can. This can't be baseball. It can't be NBA where he's playing a million games, although the NFL may try one day. 26-game season. Many times they get Patrick Mahomes on Netflix. They're going to do it. But you still have this thing. So because of the way this sport is, 134 teams, there's no mandates on who you should play in the offseason. Some teams play 8 games in a conference. Some play 9. Some conferences are stronger. Some slates are strong. Some teams don't play in a conference. All the different... You basically have to have that first round to be like, okay, we think these are our general. If they just like market it a little different, which I don't think they should, but if people were smart enough to go, oh, here's the basic grouping. Okay, now we're down to 8. Let's go. Or just stick to 4. We said it last time. You will get to 4. I would say everybody agrees there are 6 teams that could win the national championship. If people don't respect Boise State and Arizona State, that's fine. That's up to them. I'm not saying they can't win a game. I'm not saying they can't win it all. But I'm saying consensus would say that Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, Georgia, and Oregon can win the national championship. Fine. We basically have a 16 playoff with a little, like, nothing bad is happening. Nothing bad is happening here.
That's the thing. Again, no. They're saving us from a weekend of watching the New Mexico Bowl.
Right.
And they're giving us better matchups, and those teams, good players, are playing the games as opposed to opting out. What's the terrible thing that's happening here?
This
is not an intelligent country. It's why I have a podcast, by the way. If it was, there'd be someone smarter doing this.
A highly rated podcast too, somehow, Dan.
Highly rated podcast, even.
So let me go back to what the architects of the format considered and what was left on the cutting room floor among the formats. I think the closest one was either it was a two non-AQs formats. So it's either best 8, you just take the best 8 and play, like we took the best 4. The top 8 in the rankings play, or the top 12 in the rankings play. And that got pushed back. Obviously, both of those got pushed back outside of the SEC and Notre Dame at the time. And maybe the Big Ten, that got a lot of pushback, right? So they put in the AQs. Well, one of the other models was an 8-team. You take the 5 highest ranked champs, they're automatically in, and you have 3 at large. So that was another one that was considered. And then here's a novel one. They thought very seriously about just saying, screw it, we're going to stay at 4. And not only that, though, with a tweak, you play in the bowls. So everybody gets matched up in their traditional bowls, and then you pick the best 4 out of the bowl games get into the playoffs. So that was just some of the formats that were left on the cutting room floor.
I wonder who came up with that idea. But look, here's the thing. That's exactly what's going to happen we're having 4 bowl games.
Yeah.
Basically.
4 teams are going to win and then go on to other bowl games.
Instead of having a selection committee, you can just sit there and watch the game and say, oh, all right, Arizona State, you win, you keep going. Great. You put that. We're doing all that. Yeah. We're going to get to the same spot at the end. It's just a more fun. It's just a more fun thing.
Yeah. Worst suggestion I heard, by the way, Dan, go back to the BCS.
Yeah.
Well,
BCS.
that's a bad one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you take the College Football Committee's top 12, the only difference, if you just rank the top 12, well, they did.
It's Clemson.
Clemson got in instead of Alabama. That's it. So nothing happened. If you
Clemson
go with the
put up the best game of all the four, the four losers put up the best one.
And if you go the other way, it's Clemson. Either way, it would be Clemson and then SMU got in. So, but I guarantee you when they were coming up with this thing, the ACC wasn't thinking, oh, we'll be that team that's getting left out. So
No.
buyer beware. Now, SEC and Big Ten don't work. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's our sports radio talk. Everyone arguing. We'll be back right after this.
Introducing Daily Draw, the latest free-to-play game from Yahoo Sports. Daily Draw gives you a pack of 6 prediction cards every day based on the day's biggest sporting event. Download or update the Yahoo Sports app on the Apple App Store or Google Play and join the action with Daily Draw today.
It's time for some money moves presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF of the NCAA. Ross, you had a tweet on this House settlement. Now, the House settlement is the big lawsuit that's bringing in revenue sharing and trying to sort out best they can to what we're going to do going forward. Bring a little consistency so that's not athlete pay is not solely based on boosters. Basically, with the NIL, there will still be NIL. They're going to try to figure out what's a real NIL. This is going to be classic. Can't wait for that. Thank you for the content. They threw a bone. They threw
Good
a
luck
bone
to Deloitte.
They threw a bone to College Football Enquirer with that one. Cannot wait for the counter lawsuits of what is real NIL. This is going to be terrific. Anyway, doesn't matter. The money moves we're talking about here. You want money moves? Well, it seems the old attorneys involved. Yes, billable hours, who has won the national championship in college football 70 consecutive years. The attorneys are seeking 20% of the $2.8 billion settlement in the House case, which is just, $480 million. But that's not it.
That's not all. That's not all.
Oh, no. This is where, come on now. They should put on these guys should put, if they're going to be this ridiculous, they should put on a garish blazer and just become a bull rep. They want
either that or a ski mask.
Mask. They want 1% of the total annual revenue shared with athletes from the schools going forward, which is another couple $100 million plus. So it's like, not only are we getting paid for winning this lawsuit, well, we need our own little rev share. The attorneys need a rev share. Ross.
Yeah.
Make it make sense. Other than everyone wants money. Can I get that? Can I get in on this?
I know.
You've covered the House case better than anyone else. You should get a 1% share.
Well, yeah. Can I get some of this? Yeah, that'd be great, Dan. I would take 0.001% of the rev share going forward. I think.
How is this a multi-level marketing a scheme now? This is multi-level marketing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, they sell to me, and I gotta. What is going on?
The judge still's got to approve it, right? I mean, she's got to say this is okay. There's a lot of folks around college athletics that I think believe that she will say okay on the back damages, the 20%, but the forward stuff, I don't know that she's going to agree. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, in all, they list a figure in the documents when you combine it all of $725 million, which would be after 10 years. That would be the total number in attorney's fees. Pretty shocking. Let's just say when that came out, there were some private comments from many of those in college athletics, I think, that were beside themselves. But honestly, for many people who know, how a lot of this works, they were that was about expected. That was the amount that was expected. I actually thought the total could get to $1 billion. I was thinking it'd be more like $1 billion. So they're 250 million. It'd be 250 million short of that, but they might get there. You never know. Because again, it's 1% of what is shared with athletes for the next 10 years, part of the settlement. And the idea is that schools will share around 1.5 billion to start. And then by the end of it, it could get up to 2.5 billion. Well, I mean, it might get up to 3 billion. Who knows? I mean, it depends on how college football revenues grow, is how the salary cap will grow. So it could get up. They could get up to 700 or 800, 900 million. Who knows? But it's a lot of money. It's got a lot of people wondering, or a few people at least wondering what the motive is here. And I'm guessing the judge will see this, and I wouldn't think that she would agree on everything here. It will be interesting to see what she rules coming up in the new year.
I think I know the motive. Let me read the exact wording. So the whole thing is, we should get over 10 years, equivalent to 20% of the settlement fund, and a 10% additional compensation fund. So the 20% is 395 million, 60 million in additional upfront injunctive relief award of 20 million because they need to get paid. Look, the attorneys took the case on. They did a ton of work, right? This is how business works. Yeah. That's fine. It's this part that is like, come on now. It's like, we must fight for every penny for these poor athletes that aren't getting any money, and then we get a cut. Like, I understand you get your billable hours, but this is beyond billable hours. This is multi-level marketing or something. I don't know. The right to apply to the court or special master for an award of a percentage of the total amount spent by Division I member institutions under the pool for each academic year, with the percent increasing from 0.75 to a maximum of 1.25%. That's it. That's where they're trying to get the going forward rate. Hey, if you can get it, get it. I got any problem with the attorneys, I guess, but I don't know.
Well, though the saying for, I don't know, at least a decade, I guess, in college sports is that when you end up in these situations, the only winners are the lawyers. These are the biggest winners yet. Mm-hmm. I fully expect, was it St. Kitts and Nevis, the joint islands in the Caribbean?
Yeah.
He renamed, St. Kessler and Berman for Jeffrey Kessler and Steve Berman, and they'll have their own private friggin' islands that they can live on after this. And the rest of us will look on in awe. No, it's incredible. You're right. They did do the work to get the settlement. At least we think they're going to get the settlement. But, oh, my God. I mean, the numbers being thrown around in a sport where you've kind of become you've numbed to the sticker shock. This is a new sticker shock.
Well, let's talk about, too, where the money's coming from, right? If you really examine where the back damages are coming from, right there, they're coming from the school's cut of NCAA, basically NCAA basketball tournament money. That's where they're coming from in the end. Most of it's coming from NCAA basketball tournament money, about 60% of it, and about 40% is coming from like the NCAA office, the headquarters, and they're doing cutting of expenses and whatever else they're doing to come up with these funds. So like in Division I, every school is chipping in every year for the back damages. It depends on their budgets, what they're chipping in on. It depends on basically how much NCAA basketball tournament money they got is how much they're chipping in for this over 10 years. So some schools in the FCS or non-football playing, or might be chipping in $300,000 a year, where schools in the power leagues might be chipping in 1.2 million or something, right? So again, just think about little old whatever football, non-football playing school in Division I.
St. Peter's,
Let's take St. Peter's, that is having to cut, I don't know,
everything.
Four staff members, maybe a couple of sports, whatever, to pay for the back damages money that is going to 90% that is going to former power conference football and basketball players and attorneys, right? So that's why a lot of the commissioners, in the athletic directors, in the coaches at the Division I level that don't play in the power conferences, that don't have a lot of this money, are scratching their head saying, wait a second, we are throwing in money, chipping in here, 1% of our budget or 1.5% of our budget, and that money is going to former power conference football and basketball player and attorneys? Like, why are we on the hook for this? Now, the answer is there's the other side of this argument, of course, which is, well, you, for years and years, also voted not to change the rules, not to change the compensation rules. So, Dan, nobody's really happy right now.
Oh, I think Jeffrey Kessler's happy.
Except the lawyers, right. And that's the point. Nobody, I remember you guys asking me over the summer. Yeah. I remember one of you asking me over the summer, Ross, who's happy right now with the settlement? And I remember saying, the lawyers.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that anybody else is happy. Because the players, and already the players don't think, the former players don't think they've gotten enough from back damages because they look at the current players and what they're receiving. The athletic directors certainly aren't happy. They're going to have to cut this and that to pay players more. It's just when you look at it, everybody's somewhat disgruntled except one group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the AD at Wright State's got to walk down the hallway to accounting and tell Mildred, who's been there 20 years, of, hey, you know what, we got to pay Jeff Kessler. I'm sorry, you got to go. It's good.
And Zion Williamson or Trevor Lawrence or all these other power conference football players and basketball players that are getting probably 90% of the money.
Yeah, I've dealt a few stories with Jeffrey Kessler, and he is one of the smartest people I've ever been around. And so if I was suing someone, I'd hire him too.
Yeah, I mean, all you got to do is listen to a hearing where Jeffrey Kessler and Steve Berman too, where they
Berman also
talk to the judge and debate. You know why they're successful, because Berman's just as good.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic, and that's why they won this game. This was a mismatch from the start, and they didn't sink their teeth in going, we'll just work until, those guys are under heavy demand, so they're picking whaling expeditions, right, at this point in their career.
Yes.
It isn't about just, putting in your 40 hours at the office or, and heading to your house in the Hamptons. This is buying, as Pat said, an island down in the Caribbean. All right, that is Money Moves presented by Invesco QQQ, the official ETF of the NCAA and a great sponsor of this podcast. We appreciate you. I wanted to get to this before we get to bowl sponsor trivia, which is fun.
Always good. Always good.
Always a popular. We're not going to pick all the bowl games this year, bowl bonanza, because I don't know who's playing in them. Neither does the coach. Nobody knows.
Yeah. My crapshoot picks can be found on SI.com.
There you go. There you go. I don't know. We did bowl bonanza a lot through the years. But we will get to that. But I did want to get to this point. Late in the Ohio State victory over Tennessee, and obviously the big story of that game was Ryan Day and what happens if Tennessee comes in and beats them. And there's 30,000 Tennessee fans in Columbus. A number of Buckeye fans said, we're out. I'm not going to this game. Now, it's a night game. It's cold. Like if you're an older person that normally goes to the games and you're driving in from Cleveland and you're like, I'm not doing it, right? The game's late. I got to get back. This isn't for us anymore. There's a lot of reasons to miss a night December playoff game and just say, hey, I'm going to watch. But a lot of Ohio, this is Ohio State. They probably have the biggest fan base of any team in the country. If not, well, Tennessee's maybe there too, but I would say Ohio State's probably number one. We'll see. Whatever it is, it's right there. And a lot of people are like, look, if Tennessee wins this game, does Ryan Day get fired? Probably not. But does he have to leave because this would just be untenable? If these scores were reversed, do we really think Ryan Day would be coaching right now at Ohio State? I don't know how he would. The fans had spoken. There comes a point in every program where the buyout, as big as it is, becomes a math equation. And if you're sitting there saying, we're going to lose ticket sales, which again, I can't even imagine Ohio Stadium not being filled. But if no one's pledging for another 20 million in roster and stuff, you kind of just have to make the move. I don't think it was unreasonable that the big story was what's going to happen to Ryan Day going into this game. It's unprecedented situation. Kirk Herbstreit, Buckeye legend there, former Buckeye player, and obviously high profile at ESPN, ABC. Love Kirk Herbstreit's work. Like him as a person. Think he does a good job. These were his quotes that he got, and I don't really have a huge problem with it, but some people seem to have. He talked about the people calling for Ryan Day's head. He talked about the lunatic fringe, he called it. And Fowler said, hey, what percent is the lunatic fringe of fans, of Buckeye fans? It used to be 8 to 10, I assume, percent. I think it's now grown to about 15 to 20. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be happy tonight, be fired up about what the Ohio State team did, but God forbid they lose to Oregon, they may want to fire him again. Then he goes on and talks about ESPN, which employs him. First Take tried to fire him. They thought he was done. So I'll be excited to see what they talk about on Monday after this performance. They had him out. They're trying to find replacements, but here he is. He's still got his hat on. He's still coaching. Pat, problem with that or not? Or some of the Buckeye fans, it seems to have gotten some fire. I don't know. I don't know that it was that egregious.
Well, I mean, I think if they had lost, he very well might have gotten fired or not, or left on his own, as you said. It might not have been a firing, but I think it would have been an untenable situation. I still think it's going to be really damn hard for him to coach against Michigan next year. You know, I mean, the weight of that game has flattened him when they play. Now, they keep going like they did against Tennessee and you win it all. Who cares? You're fine. But I said it, I wrote it in my column, said it, I think, on our Sunday overreaction, that I thought it was a real warning sign for Ryan Day when you looked at the stands. As you noted, Ohio State has the biggest fan base, believed to be the biggest fan base in the country. I haven't seen anything to indicate that's not the case. And if they wanted to show up, they would have shown up. To have 35,000, 40,000, whatever the number was, of Tennessee fans in that stadium for the first playoff game in your building in history, I thought was a massive flashing red light for what people thought about Ryan Day and thought about the team. And I asked a couple of the players, and they were, they're like, oh no, we really didn't care. But you go get them in the locker room after the game, or you go get them when they get back to their apartments after the game. They'll be like, what the hell was that? I can't believe our fans didn't show up. And so, I mean, I think the situation is not just a lunatic fringe situation. I think this is a large percentage of the fan base that was so beaten down, haunted, angry, whatever, after the Michigan game that they were like, we're out. Now they'll get back in, I would assume. But I think it's a legitimate point going into the game.
I agree. It's kind of a clear indicator of where the fan base's feelings are. However, I wonder how many fans, because somebody mentioned this to me when I was in Columbus, I wonder how many fans sold their ticket in order to, pay for the trip to Pasadena or the trip to wherever else they may go. Dallas, I guess, would be the next in the national championship game. That was kind of like mentioned to me. Is that an excuse? I don't know. Is that real? I don't know. But if I was a player and a coach and all that, and I looked around the stands, it would make me feel great. And you saw, I can't remember the Ohio State coach who quote tweeted a one Clay Travis who had tweeted out basically like it was like some takeover. It's a home game, a Tennessee home game, and an Ohio State coach posted on social media like saying no, it wasn't. Right, the athletic director Ross Bjork did the same thing. It wasn't. No, it wasn't. This is a lie. Look, I mean, Tennessee got 3,500 tickets.
You're not going to get 80. You're not going to get 80%. It was pretty close to a takeover, wasn't it, Rob? Pat?
I mean,
Tennessee. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 30. It was 30,000. I would say
it was pretty dang close to
probably
a takeover.
At least, right? I mean, they got. Think about this. Tennessee CFP visiting teams got 3,500 tickets, right?
Yeah,
and Tennessee bought certainly at least 25,000 more, right? That probably were controlled somewhat by Ohio State.
I don't think Clay was wrong on that one. Just real quick, you were at Indiana, Notre Dame. When I saw the crowd, Ross, you were at Indiana, Notre Dame. Now, this is in Indiana. So people are like, well, it's not that far for Tennessee. Well, it's really not far for Indiana fans to travel to Indiana.
Yeah, 3 hours, right? 3 hours
or they just live in South Bend.
Or they live in Indianapolis, or right, yeah.
Or, I mean, they live in the area. So
yeah, that was more like, that one was more like... maybe 5, just maybe
5,000.
Right.
I mean, it was still
5 to 7,000, maybe, or something like that. Yeah.
Other than the Clemson section of Darrell K. Royal, were there a couple people here or there from Clemson at Texas game? Absolutely. But the Texas section, you didn't notice them. You had to really look. Now, granted, the oranges are kind of the same, but it was not a Clemson. This was their section, and then a few other people were there. And I Penn State, it was a whiteout. I'm guessing the SMU fans, now they had a harder trip, all that, but Penn State showed up. They showed up unbelievably.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. They put they put the SMU band all the way up in the corner, the upper X in the corner. And also, I don't know if you guys saw, I don't think we talked about this on Sunday, a group of big SMU donors that included Bryson DeChambeau got rerouted from landing in State College and landed in Williamsport and showed up to the game an hour and a half late when the team was down 28-0 already. But they showed up. They took a shuttle from Williamsport with Bryson and Craig James and a few other SMU boosters there.
Trying to get a hole in one over his house.
I'm sorry, but this spin that the crowd wasn't that bad. Oh, please.
Yeah.
B, that we're saving our money for later in the playoff. This is at home. This is the cheapest game, right? You're driving an hour. You're driving 2 hours, whatever. You may pay for one night a hotel, and it's a playoff game at home. And no, this is Ohio State. They go everywhere.
There's 1 million people live in Columbus.
Yeah.
This is a big city.
They flood away games at Iowa City, at Evanston, in Champaign. And all of a sudden, no, we're not going to go to a home playoff game. We're going to save our money. Bullshit. Come on, man.
And the students aren't in campus. I agree, but many of the students live in Columbus.
The students showed up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the
students showed up.
That was the one area. Yeah. That was the one area that was solid
without
scarlet.
Tennessee. That's right.
Yeah,
without
and they
orange,
need the money. I don't blame a college student for being like, dude, this guy from Tennessee is going to be $500 for my ticket, and I'm trying to buy whatever. I'll use it to go out on New Year's Eve. There's no way that wasn't a takeover. That was as good of a takeover as you will ever see.
Long time
it was
Ohio State
people,
including maybe Hurd Street said it on air, but certainly in the press box, several longtime Ohio State writers and people who've been around the Buckeyes for a while said that they had never seen more visiting fans in the
stadium. There's no way it's ever occurred.
Not even close. I've been going to games there for 30 years. I've never seen anything remotely like that.
Even a Michigan game.
Yeah, Michigan with great fans. No, not even
and
close.
Local. There's so many Michigan alums who just live in Columbus or Cleveland. The schools are too. You don't have I always say it's how far you had to travel from the campus. That's not one of the reasons Ohio State has a huge crowd at Northwestern is because they got a gazillion alums in Chicago.
Right.
You don't have to travel to go, so anyway, the lunatic fringe, there is a lunatic fringe, but I think the lunatic fringe is not so lunatic and it ain't so fringe. And so I don't think this acquires that loss. What you saw Saturday night, it reaffirmed. I came on here after that Michigan game and said that's the worst coaching job I think I've ever seen. I cannot think of a worse coaching job. I've seen teams lose bigger point spreads, right? Like Michigan played Appalachian State and they did not know how to stop the spread offense and they got beat. That was one of the all-time worst coaching jobs. Like there's no reason you got beat by the same play practically over and over and over. But for a game that you literally spend 365 days a year focusing on, there was no reason that you shouldn't score more than 13 points. Or what did they score? 10? What did they score? 10 points against that Michigan team. It was ridiculous. It was the worst coaching job ever. And this by doing what you did on Saturday, you reaffirm what Tennessee. What happened to Tennessee is what should have happened to Michigan. 21-0 first quarter.
Yeah.
Go home. Take your flag with you. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. All right. Bowl sponsors. Oh, it's a good one. It's going to be good. Right next.
Introducing Daily Draw, the latest free-to-play game from Yahoo Sports. Daily Draw gives you a pack of 6 prediction cards every day based on the day's biggest sporting event. Download or update the Yahoo Sports app on the Apple App Store or Google Play and join the action with Daily Draw today.
All right, it's bowl season. Most wonderful time of the year, right? Do they still play that song on the promos?
I don't know, frankly.
Does bowl season have a sponsor? Usually bowl season has its own sponsor, which I like. Okay, sorry. Anyway, we're going to go through our favorite bowl sponsors. We're not picking these games. Some of them have already happened. But I want to start with a few, and it's, can you figure out what this bowl sponsor does? What is this company? Or whatever, individual. We got all sorts of things in here. This game has already been played. UNLV beat Cal 24-13 in it. The Art of Sport LA Bowl presented by Gronk.
What does Gronk do?
Drinks. He did the coin flip.
Among other things.
Is Gronk got the greatest life? Him and Snoop, who, by the way, makes an appearance on this list.
Also
just be you, Gronk. Just be you every day. Someone will pay you to just show up and be like, stand around and do some goofy stuff. Art of Sport LA Bowl presented by Gronk. Pat, your guess.
Somebody who paints pictures of athletes.
Okay. Ross? Do you know what Art of Sport is? I think LA Bowl stands, it's not Lower Alabama. One of my favorite. People in Alabama call lower the southern part of Alabama LA. Lower Alabama. It's like, just so we don't have confusion between Lower Alabama and Los Angeles. Maybe we should, so similar. Anyway, your guess? No cheating, by the way.
My guess is I don't, a business who makes sculptures of famous sports moments.
Okay. No, both wrong. Art of Sport is a complete line of daily essential body and skincare products made for athletes.
Oh, okay.
Powered by high-performance skincare science, Fresh Sense marketed as ideal for active lifestyles and rigorous training routines.
Okay.
So, there we go.
They help your skin look good after you work out.
Yeah.
All right.
R+L Carriers, New Orleans Bowl. This is a long time one. It's kind of easy. I don't want you guys getting them all wrong. Sam Houston beat Georgia Southern 31-26 in this game. Ross, you know what R&L Carriers is?
I should. It's an old one, and I'm trying to remember. Air conditioner?
No.
Trucking line.
Yep.
Actually, no. I passed.
Yeah, it is trucking. Yeah, it is trucking. I'm sorry.
I passed about 5 of their trucks going to and from Columbus.
I love that R&L has been a very loyal bowl sponsor, and I just love it. R&L Carriers is a privately owned American freight company based in Wilmington, Ohio, which grew over the course of 50 years from one truck to a fleet of 21,000 tractors and trailers.
Wow. Serves
all 48 contiguous American states, plus Canada, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Dominican Republic. Big. All right. Staff DNA Cure Bowl. The Staff DNA Bowl. I just said, last year it was the avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl.
That was an easy one to get.
Yeah, I think Trump took care of that. I think we're going to have American avocados from here on out, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're gone. We now have Staff DNA Cure Bowl. Elections have consequences, people. Elections have consequences. And we will eat American avocado. I was upset about that. What is wrong with an American avocado? Can we grow them here? I think we can, right?
Yeah, California.
California,
they
Central
grow
Valley.
some avocados.
Yeah, I like an American avocado. Call me whatever. Yeah. Anyway,
I'll take whoever makes the best avocado.
It's all good.
I don't care where
Guac
they're
is
from.
guac. Yeah. Go ahead. Staff DNA Cure Bowl.
It's like a human resource staffing company.
Got it.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I'll give it to you. Cure Bowl are
Wow.
seeking a cure for, I think, breast cancer. They've been around.
Right.
Staff DNA is a digital marketplace for healthcare careers.
Okay.
A patent pending platform that directly connects job seekers and healthcare facilities in need of workforce solutions. I guess it's like job seekers have access to fully transparent job and pay details up front, while hiring managers can hire in real time by directly connecting with candidates. So there you go.
Okay.
And let me just say, bowl people, you think I hate you, but here I am glossing up your companies.
Yeah. I
lot of
left out
attention.
most of the sponsors out of my bowl dash. So
Well.
you're doing the Lord's work here for the bowl people.
Game Above Sports Bowl,
Oh.
Pitt versus Toledo. It's in Detroit. It's that Detroit Bowl that it's been
Yeah, it used to be like Quick Lane and
Quick Lane, which was
before
not a
that
bowling
Little
lane.
Caesars.
Yeah. Day after Christmas in Detroit, noon.
Yeah, I mean,
What else you want?
to me, it's always been the saddest bowl for a player. You've
The
just
fact-
spent Christmas in Detroit, and then you got to go play at noon. I mean, it's like, oh.
The Factory of Sadness Bowl. It's like people are going to work, like their office, and there's this like a random like Pitt fan, like chugging beers on the sideline. It's like 11 in the morning in the sidewalk. Like,
Yeah.
what is this guy dressed like that? It's going to my banking job. What is this? Yeah. Game Above Sports.
Ross, you got anything?
Game Above Sports.
I'm gonna go ahead. You got a guess?
If you don't have a guess, don't go. It's,
yeah, I don't
That's
have a
like
good
do
guess.
they make like jerseys or something? You know, sports
no.
outfitting. No, okay.
Game Above is a successful, multifaceted brand that includes charitable giving, capital investment, sports entertainment, and media ventures. Game Above Sports is dedicated to expanding its strategic portfolio by investing in professional and youth teams, franchises, and leagues worldwide.
Oh, so it's an investment, equity company. It's a weird
I think
name
so,
for
yeah.
them.
They have a significant ownership stake of the Brisbane Bullets of the National
Oh,
Basketball
We
League
should
in
have known
Australia.
that.
Yeah.
They also have the majority ownership of the Detroit's Big Three franchise, which is set to begin play next summer. There you go.
All righty.
We have
Okay,
the Australian Basketball League connection now.
there you go.
The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. Now, I think we know what the Bad Boy Mowers is. I'm just
course.
continue to bring them up so they'll send me a mower one day. I'm not above begging. They're cheating on the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yeah,
It used
right.
to be the Gasparilla Bowl. Now they do the Pinstripe Bowl, which is played at Yankee Stadium. And look, I don't blame them. If you can get your brand into the significant rider mower market of the South Bronx,
All the massive acreage and yards, right?
like
In
it's
central Manhattan.
Bad Boy. Is there one? I need a zero turn mower here at 153rd Street. What?
Yeah.
Like, the only riding mower in the entire South Bronx is the Yankee Stadium ground crew.
Right.
What is this?
Tremendous.
All right. The Rate Bowl.
I think
The
at
rate
one
bowl.
point wasn't it the guaranteed rate bowl?
Guaranteed
Yes.
rate bowl.
Yes.
What
No,
happened to
no.
that?
They're going by rate now. They're not calling them. They're doing business as the rate, as
That's
part of
it.
a company brand.
It's an insurance
Maybe
company?
they no
Isn't that an
longer
insurance
guarantee
company?
their rates. Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. It was
Insurance.
founded in
No.
Arizona in 1989. Sorry, 1989. It was originally the Copper Bowl. Then it was the
Yeah.
Insight.com Bowl.
Yeah.
Then the Insight Bowl. Then the Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be confused with the Buffalo Wild Wings Citrus Bowl. That's a separate. Then it was.
Well, yeah.
Then
We
it
had
was-
multiple Cheez-It bowls at one point.
Yeah, well,
too.
and this was one of them. Then it became the Cactus Bowl. Then it became the Cheez-It Bowl. Then it became the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. And now it is the Rate Bowl.
It's the naming of that bowl is more transient than the population of Arizona. I mean, come and go, come and go, come and go. Good Lord. It's like home or mortgage rates or something, right?
Yes, residential mortgage company.
All right.
Oh.
The Rate Bowl.
Yeah.
68 Ventures Bowl.
Oh, I was hoping you'd get to this.
The 68 Ventures Bowl. Let me see who's in this thing. I think I got it. Arkansas State and Bowling Green played in Mobile. This used to be the GoDaddy Bowl. It was a bunch of other stuff too.
Oh, that bowl has been many things.
68
Many
Ventures.
things.
It's been 68. It's been 68 sponsors bowl.
GalleryFurniture.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
I was trying to think what the hell this was, and the only thing I could come up with was like, is LC Greenwood somehow the sponsor? Because that's the number 68. I think of LC Greenwood from the Steel Curtain, the Steelers back.
I was thinking
in the 70s. I can't really-
68 was referring to like the year, they came into existence, like 1968. But I have no idea what it is. I don't know. And I'm from 40 minutes west of Mobile, but I've never heard of this.
Just make sure if it had been the Gronk Bowl, it'd be one more number on top of 68
Yes,
Ventures.
that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
But they did not do that. Nice.
No.
68 Ventures is the parent company for numerous operating businesses along the Gulf Coast, which focus on development, investment, and construction mainly. Headquartered in Daphne, Alabama, 68V is a purpose-driven, culturally focused organization with strong operational track record that has resulted in it becoming the largest single-family developer within the region.
Thank God for purpose driven.
If
Yeah.
I
Whoever came up with that saying.
Got a
when I
big PR words in there.
When
Yeah.
I eventually need a new career, I am going to become a bowl sponsor writer. I can write these things.
Yeah, just get purpose driven in there, please.
One of my favorites, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
All right.
What is Wasabi Fenway Bowl?
Oh, yeah. This was
Fenway,
a tricky one last year.
Go
We
ahead,
thought
Ross.
The wasabi
What do you
was
got?
wasabi.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't the wasabi, the sushi spicy stuff. No.
Is Ross
wasn't the
drinking
green
this
stuff.
morning?
No, wasabi got you the
Yeah, it
hiccup.
was.
Are you still hungover from the linebacker? Are you still
The
hungover?
linebacker.
The
the
backer,
32-ounce
backer.
beers, Dan. Still going through the system. Thing is, I remember it not being the green wasabi, but I don't remember what it was.
It's like a computer programming thing or something.
there you
Something
go.
tech
It is.
related.
This is my favorite of all the sponsors because we have a college football game being played in a professional baseball stadium sponsored by a cloud storage company, which is named after a Japanese horseradish.
Perfect.
It also kicks off at 11 in the morning.
Well said.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Dan,
that doesn't,
we need you to go cover that, actually.
I mean, there's worse things to do.
Yeah.
I mean, does that say bowl season or not? Again, I think this year it's on a Saturday, but during the weekday it would be one of those ones where people in Boston are like, like you're riding the T, and then there's like all of a sudden some fans there, and anyway, go to Boston for the weekend. UConn versus North Carolina.
That's right. I mean,
Coach
not bad.
Belichick.
Belichick will be hanging around.
He'll be hanging around. He didn't coach in that thing. The Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. I think I'm saying it right.
ISLET.
ISLETA.
Yeah. So it's not Athleta, but it's Isleta.
Isleta.
Yeah. Do they make like sweatshirts or something?
Ross?
I don't know.
It's a casino in Albuquerque.
Okay. All right.
Kind of makes sense.
That's
They
an
could make
appropriate
sweatshirts.
sponsor.
Makes
That's an
sense.
appropriate sponsor.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. They should probably say Isleta Casino and Resort New Mexico Bowl. But whatever. Hey, Thank you for sponsoring our sport.
There you go.
One of my favorites here, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl to be presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop.
Yeah.
Snoop gets 2 mentions in the.
Yeah, there you go.
Take that,
That's right.
Gronk. Take that. You think you deserve?
I
just
remember
got
finding
one.
out about this when we were in the Fiesta Bowl in the Fiesta Summit meetings in May in Phoenix. There was like a rumor of this, and I was like, surely this isn't true. And then when I went and found out, yes, it was true. And I was like, well, I need to write a story on this, right? Because this is interesting. And they're like, please, you got to put the whole name. And so, yes, I had to put but Gin and Juice by Snoop and Dre.
You got to have
the whole,
yeah.
You got to have the whole, kit and caboodle in there, Dan. And I know what this one is because of the story. Yeah, in Gin and Juices, they're pretty good, Dan. If you had those little Gin and Juices by Snoop and Dre, they're pretty tasty.
I would think so. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm amazed at Snoop's second career life as our avuncular Uncle Snoop. You know, after the way he came up and broke into the American consciousness, and now he's like, oh, hey, there's our cool Uncle Snoop. You know,
Yeah.
It's just
Everybody loves him.
funny.
There's nothing not to love, right?
Yeah,
But
right?
the man, and he was acquitted, so I'm no problem. But the man once stood trial for murder.
Yes, he
or like
did.
part of a murder or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, but everyone loves him. He's great. The Olympics were the best. They just had him go around at the Olympics and hang out with the families. And every family. Now, your kid is about to win the Olympics, right? You'd think this is a highly, Pat, you had a daughter win an Olympic medal. This would not be the time. You'd be like very like focused on that moment and like family and your coach and like, right?
Yeah.
And then Snoop shows up, yet all of them seem to be happy to see him, even in this like unbelievable moment. They're like, hey, Snoop.
Yeah. I think I would leave it at, hey, let's go get a drink out. Let's get some gin and juice after. I don't want to talk to you right now.
Anyway, I like the long drink, but this is the gin and juice by Dre and Snoop. They have apricot, citrus, melon, passion fruit, a lot of them there. My actual favorite part of this is at one point the bowl game is kind of this name, Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl to be presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop, a unique sponsorship agreement brokered by Playfly Premier Partnerships. So like the marketing company got their name in there too. Yeah. Full dope. I don't know if that's official. Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Pat?
They like defense
Radiance
contracting
Technology.
or something. Radiance Technologies.
You got it.
Like,
Yep.
we're going to.
There you go.
We'll help you bomb the hell out of somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. Serving the Department of Defense, National Intelligence Community, and other government agencies.
There
you go. Kind of, I don't get why, like, how does that have mass appeal? I don't know. The Trans Perfect Music City Bowl.
Transportation. Perfect transportation. Trucking.
I'm going to say it's some kind of company that assists in modernizing transportation.
It is a family of companies providing language services and technology solutions.
Translation
perfect.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Which game is that? Who's in that? Where is that?
The Trans Perfect. It is in Nashville. Let me see here.
Okay.
That's
the Music
Iowa,
City. So
yeah.
that's
Trans
Iowa,
Perfect,
Missouri, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing the basic ones. Go bowling. I think we know what that would be.
No.
Obviously Pop-Tarts Bowl. You see that trophy now? It's the Pop-Tart.
Yeah,
the Pop-Tart trophy actually has a toaster.
A real toaster. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't put that now. It's functional. You got to put that right behind the coach's thing, and then, or at least like down by the training table, so the guys can just throw Pop-Tarts in there anytime they want.
Yeah, mid-game. We have a second quarter Pop-Tart.
Yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl. That's Saturday. Yeah, I'm not doing Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I think we get that. Anyway, so two more. I think two more. The ReliaQuest Bowl.
Alabama
Alabama
that one's
versus
always
Michigan.
bothered me because they like completely removed the traditional name of the bowl, so I don't know which bowl game it is.
I hate
Is
that.
that like is that like the Citrus Bowl or something, or the Outback, or whatever?
It is it is in Tampa.
So it
Oh,
might
it's
have
the
been
Outback.
right?
It was
I
the
think it used to
Outback.
be the Outback.
Outback.
Yeah.
Outback.
Which was
Yeah,
so
I mean,
sad. We had the
sad
Outback
to lose
Bowl.
the historic nature of the Outback.
The historic
Bowl.
Outback Bowl game.
No idea what ReliaQuest is. Huh? All right.
No, I got nothing on ReliaQuest.
It's ReliaQuest exists to make security possible, allowing security teams to detect, contain, and respond to threats within minutes, anytime, anywhere. Our Gray Matter platform empowers enterprise security teams to leverage their current and future technology stack to drive greater visibility and automation without the need to centralize data or standardize tools. So I'm still not sure.
No,
but
corporate speak.
Someone smart would know.
Amazing. Corporate speak is an amazing thing.
Finally, this is an exciting one. I like the Kinder's Texas Bowl.
Kinder's. I got no idea, but it seems like it should be like a fast food chain.
Not fast
Tinder?
food.
You say Tinder?
Kinder's. No, we don't need that. Please. Tinder Bowl.
Yeah, no.
It's like
no Tinder Bowl.
No. I'm not. There's so many jokes. I'm not. A few coaches.
Kinder.
Who would be,
cat food.
Kinder.
Cat food.
Kinder's is it's a barbecue seasoning. Leading provider of quality sauces, seasons, and other products for home cooks to bring restaurant quality flavors to life. Founded in 1946 by John Kinder, a World War II Navy veteran, Kinder's has been obsessed with creating amazing flavors that can help anyone regardless of their skill. They have barbecue sauce, wing sauce, premium seasoning blends and rubs, crispy coating, stuffing, gravy, and more. They also have, I think, a restaurant in Texas. Listen, anything involving barbecue, I'm in favor of.
Definitely.
That is a good partnership. Kinder's Texas Bowl.
That fits for a Texas bowl game, but we don't need obsessed and amazing in your ad copy. Get them out.
That's how it is. Anyway, that is our show. We wish everyone a great holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating, or nothing at all, whatever you're doing. Enjoy it. That is our show for the week. We'll be back. Enjoy the bowls. We'll be back to preview these obviously the big quarterfinal games next Monday. We appreciate all of you guys listening to us, and we hope you all have a great break if you get some days off, or if you're at work, you're one of our people that have to work on Christmas, first responders and all that. We particularly take note of you and appreciate you. So thank you for watching and listening, and thanks again to Invesco QQQ, the official ETF of the NCAA.